Paris, 1850. A shopkeeper's careless son puts a rock through the front window, and a crowd gathers on the street. And then somebody says the thing somebody always says. Well, at least it's good for the glazier. The window man gets paid. The money moves. Maybe, says the crowd, breaking things is actually good for the economy. Now, before you laugh at them, understand, you have heard this exact argument this year. After every hurricane, somebody on television says rebuilding will boost the economy. Every stimulus, every subsidy, every bailout leans on the same reasoning. One French economist heard it on that street and wrote the answer once for all of us. Frederick Bastiat tells the story like an eyewitness. The good shopkeeper, James B., discovers the broken pane, and the spectators, he says, even if there were 30 of them, all offer the same consolation. It is an ill wind that blows nobody good. Everybody must live, and what would become of the glaziers if panes of glass were never broken? Now listen to what the crowd is claiming. Not just that the glazier eats tonight. They're claiming the accident helped the town. Money will circulate. Trade is encouraged. Perhaps destruction creates prosperity. He says that little sentence of consolation contains an entire theory, and it's the same theory, he says, that unhappily regulates the greater part of our economic institutions. Get this one street scene right, and you can see through half the headlines you'll read this year. So who is this? Frederick Bastiat, a French economist writing in the middle of the 19th century. In 1850, he published a short essay with a plain title, That Which Is Seen and That Which Is Not Seen. It has become one of the most important pieces in all of economic literature, and the whole thing turns on one distinction, simple to state, profound to apply. Every action has two kinds of effects. The first kind is immediate and visible. You can watch it happen, measure it, photograph it. That is the seen. The second kind did not happen because something else happened instead. The purchase never made, the shop never opened, the job that never existed. That is the unseen. So run the story the crowd's way. Say the repair costs 6 francs. The glazier comes, does his work, collects his 6 francs, rubs his hands, and, in Bastiat's words, in his heart blesses the careless child. 6 francs of trade that didn't exist this morning. You can see it, you can count it, and so far, Bastiat says, you reason justly. But the moment you conclude that breaking windows is good, that it causes money to circulate, that industry in general will be encouraged, Bastiat stops you cold. Hear him say it.
Stop there. Your theory is confined to that which is seen. It takes no account of that which is not seen.
That which is not seen. The shopkeeper has spent 6 francs on the window, so he cannot spend those 6 francs on anything else. The essay names it plainly. If he had not had a window to replace, he would perhaps have replaced his old shoes, or added another book to his library. So take inventory. If the window is never broken, the town has a window, and shoes, and the shoemaker got the 6 francs of trade. Once the window breaks, the town has a window, and that's all. The glazier's gain is real, but it isn't new wealth. It's the shoemaker's sale, transferred, minus a pair of shoes that now never gets made. Destruction did not create prosperity. It redirected resources from advancement to restoration and burned a pair of shoes on the way. The town is poorer, and the trick is that the loss is invisible. Nobody photographs the shoes that were never made. Nobody interviews the shoemaker about the sale he never knew he lost. And there is the whole discipline in one sentence. He wrote that between a good and a bad economist, there is only this difference. The one takes account of the visible effect. The other takes account both of the effects which are seen and also of those which it is necessary to foresee. The seen is easy. It's right there. Anyone can point a camera at it. The unseen is hard. It requires patience. It requires asking what would have happened to those same resources if they had stayed where they were. It is the difference between watching the first link of a chain and tracing the whole chain. Now scale the window up, because we never stopped falling for this. A hurricane levels a town, and within a week, somebody observes that the rebuilding will boost the economy. Construction spending rises. The numbers go up. That is the broken window fallacy on a massive scale. Every dollar and every work crew devoted to rebuilding destroyed homes is a dollar and a crew not building new homes, not starting businesses, not improving anything. The town spends a fortune to get back to where it stood before the storm. That is not prosperity. That is recovery from destruction. Or take a case the Academy course walks students through. In 2009, the government paid Americans to destroy working cars and buy new ones. Car sales spiked briefly, but working vehicles were scrapped. Used car prices rose on the poor, and the sales spike was mostly borrowed from the months that followed. Wealth was destroyed, not created. Here's the test that exposes the whole thing. If destruction really created prosperity, the policy conclusion would be obvious. Break more windows, demolish buildings to stimulate construction, wreck cars to boost auto sales. The absurdity is the refutation. Destruction destroys, construction creates. Confusing the two is the error. But if Bastiat settled this in 1850, why does the fallacy keep winning elections? Because the seen and the unseen aren't just an economics lesson. They're a diagnosis of politics. The visible benefits of a program are concentrated. This factory, these jobs, that ribbon cutting. The beneficiaries know exactly who they are, and they're organized, and they're grateful. The costs are real, but dispersed. Every taxpayer pays a little. Every consumer pays a little. And the businesses that never opened don't know they were the price. The unseen does not vote. It does not organize. It does not make campaign contributions. No politician in history ever ran on the jobs he prevented from existing. So policy after policy gets judged by its photograph instead of its full chain of consequences. The cure isn't a smarter politician. The cure is a citizenry that has learned to ask what is not shown. And here is what they rarely tell you about Bastiat. He did not think he had invented a clever trick. He thought he was describing the handiwork of God. Hear him dedicate his last book to the youth of France.
It is not only the celestial, but the social mechanism, which reveals the wisdom of God and declares his glory.
The unseen effects of a policy are not hidden because they aren't real. They are hidden because tracing them takes patience and humility, and we would usually rather have the photograph. Scripture has a name for the discipline Bastiat is asking of us. The simple believes everything, but the prudent one discerns his steps. Proverbs 14, verse 15. Prudence. Not cynicism, not cleverness, the patient willingness to look past what is dangled in front of your eyes and discern where the steps actually lead. That is an act of stewardship in a world that God made orderly enough to trace. So here is the whole tool, small enough to carry. 2 questions. What is seen? What is unseen? A city hosts the Olympics. The stadiums are seen. What's unseen? A stimulus check lands in every mailbox. The spending is seen. Where did it come from? A failing company gets rescued. The saved jobs are seen. Who paid? And what did the rescue teach the next reckless company? Almost never is the seen the whole effect. Every policy uses resources that would have been used somewhere else. Economic literacy means never forgetting to look for the unseen. And once you have the habit, you cannot unsee it, and you are very much harder to fool. That's economics the way GraceHaven Academy teaches it. Everything you just heard comes from one chapter of the Academy's economics course, where students don't memorize curves first. They learn to trace consequences, argue the hard cases, and read the primary sources for themselves. Bastiat is right there in the GraceHaven library. And they learn why the discipline matters, because prudence is a virtue, and because the same God who ordered the heavens ordered the society you live in. Thinkers, not parrots, with God at the foundation of every subject. If that's the education you want for your children, GraceHaven Academy is linked below.